Well, howdy there. My name is Mitch, and I live in Missouri, in the heartland of the United States of America. This is a very interesting place to live because it has a mix of cultures from all over the country drifting in. But really, the main influence is the southern United States.
The UV is in full effect.
If I saw this thing on the road, I would not even look twice, okay? So I've been searching Facebook Marketplace, the the best website ever, to find a new apartment recently, and I've stumbled across some interesting listings on there, including this. So this is a 1964 Chevy K10 4x4 delivery panel van, apparently on a 1985 Chevy Suburban frame. And this is no ordinary panel van, people, okay? So I like the way this truck looks. It has a very stately, commanding presence, very tall, lifted, ready to go. But yeah. So Copper Hill Delivery, we'll get back to that. But delivering moonshine happiness to the backwoods since 1964. Those quotations are doing a lot of heavy lifting, a weight which they cannot handle. And in case you were wondering what they could possibly mean by this, they've included some decals to help us out. And apparently the truck's name is Popcorn. These quotations aren't really doing as much heavy lifting as the other ones, but still, popcorn? So okay, that's the outside. It's pretty interesting looking. But let's check out the interior. Let's see what this thing looks like on the inside. So, cars and trucks generally have a floor that is made of fabric or carpet, maybe. No. All we got is tinfoil. Sorry. That's all we had. However, this truck does have all the climate accommodations you could ever want: heat, Chevy logo, air, fan, Chevy logo, Jeff. Oh yeah, and don't forget the tinfoil in the cargo area. You got to insulate as to protect the product. So naturally, I wanted to know more about this truck. What even is going on here? But naturally, I wasn't able to find much on the internet about an intentionally obscure moonshining operation in Missouri from the 1960s. So I decided to contact the seller. And I took the approach of saying, oh, well, I don't want to purchase this truck, but I do want to know more about it. And I might be able to get some eyes on the listing by making the video that you're watching right now. But when I contacted him, it seemed that it had already been sold. So I considered following up and maybe trying to ask some more information. But as I had already made it clear that I didn't want to purchase it, and then his reply was, "It's sold," that kind of said to me, I sold this thing and I don't want to think about it anymore. So I didn't feel like pestering him. I'm a kind Midwestern gentleman, okay? I didn't feel like pestering him for more info, probably leading to the person he got it from, who I would then have to pester for info about it. So that kind of ran dry. However, I still think this thing is interesting, and I still think there's more that we can find out about it. So let's go. So first, the truck. This is a Chevy K10 panel van, part of the Chevy K-C series, which was sold from 1960 to 2002. And the K-series trucks were the four-wheel drive, the C-series trucks being the two-wheel drive. And these came in all different kinds of body styles, from pickup trucks all to panel vans, all the way up to heavy haulers, all sorts of stuff. So naturally, this was a very influential truck If you live in the Midwestern or the Southern United States, you've probably seen one of these trucks around at some point. Very influential on the pickup truck boom in America recently. And then the different versions of the truck, such as the panel van version that we've been looking at and the heavy hauler versions, were kind of more influential on the utility vehicle area of things, which, you may have noticed also has had quite a bit of success recently in America and throughout the world because of their utility, power, overall sexiness. These have become quite collectible and desirable unless you do this to it. If you think these flames on cars look cool,
we cannot be friends.
But I can say I have been seduced by this particular K10 panel van. Just look at that shade of green, okay? Isn't that just like beautiful? Okay, besides the sexiness of that one truck, the truck part of this whole thing was not really what I was interested in mainly. Mainly, I'm interested in the moonshine. So first off, what is moonshine? So moonshine is traditionally a clear, unaged whiskey made with either barley or corn. And it was said to have come from the Scots-Irish people on the border of Scotland and England. So these people had existed for a long time, but then they were mainly known for their brandy and whiskey making and being fierce warriors and mercenaries. So naturally, as one does, they had a conflict with the crown in the 1700s and decided to come to the New World in America, So it is said that approximately 200,000 Scots-Irish people came over to the new American colonies from Scotland and England, where they continued to be people living on the border, this time between the British colonies and the recently stolen Native American land. As noted in Howling Moonshine's personal family history, The Origins of Moonshine, the Scots-Irish people were known for their brandy and whiskey making in the Old World, and naturally, they brought that to the New World. In the Old World, they would have made it with barley, but in America, the crop that was easiest to grow and find and distill was corn. Thus began a long lineage of moonshiners, and it's called moonshine because they would traditionally make it at night to avoid detection by the cops or the tax man. They called them revenuers. They figured out they could make a lot more from their corn crop by distilling it into moonshine rather than selling it. So moonshine blew up, only sometimes literally. So the basic process is this. You mix corn and yeast and you let it ferment for a while. And this combination is called a mash, which is then heated, producing an alcoholic vapor. This is passed into what's called a thump keg, which will catch any solid corn that drops from your initial vessel, called a still. The vapor is then fed into a condenser, a long spiral tube surrounded by cold water that cools the vapor and condenses it into a liquid. This liquid comes out the other side of the tube into your waiting X-marked jug. Do not make alcohol without the proper permits and equipment. So the Scots-Irish people passed down the practice of legal moonshining, and originally they would go into the Appalachian Mountains to make their moonshine to avoid detection. It was easier that way. And then as the country grew, they would spread further west as well, going into Tennessee and then down south and later further north into Missouri. Finally, I'm home. Do you need to get out? Okay, so what is Copper Hill moonshine? So as far as I can tell, this is named after a copper mine in the east of Missouri near St. Louis. Now called Brindle and Gamble Mine, the mine was originally dug in 1904. So I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that this truck could have been used in this area of very small towns and several different iron and copper mines dotted throughout this area to deliver moonshine to the mining towns. The highest population town surrounding this mine, Sullivan, Missouri, had a population of around 7,000 people in 2017. So in 1964, this is probably a few hundred people in each town that this truck is riding around delivering moonshine to, and I love them for it. Okay? Slay, deliver the moonshine, you go, girl. Okay, so that's maybe where this truck could have come from, but where did the actual moonshine come from? So, most of southern Missouri and northern Arkansas is what is known as the Ozark Highlands region. Named that way because the land is higher than the land around it. But what's most interesting for our story is that the Ozark Highlands region is the perfect place to make moonshine. So a lot of this info is coming from an Ozarks Watch article written by Andy Ostmeyer with help from Bob Flanders, professor at Southwestern Missouri State University. I cannot recommend this article highly enough. It is extremely detailed and well written, well worth the read. Really makes you feel like you're up in them hills. Anyway, this region is so great for making moonshine because of three main reasons. The first one being corn, okay? My backyard growing up, it was a cornfield. 60% of my hometown is cornfield by volume, okay? We got lots of corn here in Missouri, so perfect. The second thing is mountains, and this southern Missouri, northern Arkansas region has a lot of hilly, mountainy terrain, which is perfect for moonshiners because you can hide up in the mountains and evade authorities. Even if they see the smoke coming up from your still, it'll take them a long time and a hell of a lot of effort to get to you. And third is natural springs. This Ozarks region has a ton of natural spring water, which is perfect for making very clear and pure alcohol. So, naturally, with how perfect this environment is for making moonshine, it became a proud tradition in this southern Missouri, northern Arkansas region. And they especially had a good time during the alcohol prohibition in the United States from 1920 to 1933. And I'd like to read you a quote from this Ozarks Watch article, previously a Joplin Globe article. A.C. Holman, 82 years old now and retired. But 60 years ago, during the heat of Prohibition, his father, Bill Holman, was sheriff. A.C. accompanied him on many of his raids. During Prohibition, moonshine was so popular in the Ozarks, Holman says, that at one point a local man offered $10 to anyone to pick a house between Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and Gateway, Arkansas, where it wasn't for sale. No one would take the bet, he says. You could stop at part near any house and buy it. In the modern era, however, illegal moonshining has all but stopped, and that's for a few different reasons. A big one being land development, especially in the Ozarks region, which has a booming tourism industry. You couldn't really find a place to do it anymore. And in the past 15 years, several states have actually legalized moonshine. So this was partly as a response to the 2008 financial crisis.
Housing shouldn't be a financial instrument.
And Tennessee was the first one to do it, so they led the way by legalizing moonshine, and the first distillery opened in 2010, and then several other states followed suit, including Missouri. The last time a still was taken from Barrier in McDonald County was 1976, when authorities found a Powell man making it hillbilly style, they said. Vernon Still, Barry County Sheriff at the time, learned about it when the man started buying hundreds of pounds of sugar. You don't buy 300, 400, 500 pounds of sugar just to can huckleberries, Still says. In fact, Missouri pulled a Champagne, France, and actually designated the Ozark Highlands Spirit Region in 2022, which provides for further regulation and standards among the distilling industries in the Ozarks region of Missouri. So, okay, we've kind of solved the mystery a little bit, figured out where this moonshine is coming from. So let's look at some of the distilleries that are in this Ozark Highlands Spirit region. Ooh, I wonder if this one's any good. Well, dadgummit, let's find out. I got the vanilla bean because they didn't have the regular. I wanted just the regular, but this'll have to do. All right, here goes. Wow. Wow. This is like if vodka was good. The clarity of it, the pure quality of the flavors. The vanilla bean definitely helps a lot. I think it gives it a really nice sweetness and warmth to it. Let's have one more go. Whereas a more traditional whiskey might have a woodier flavor or a more nutty flavor, this is more like vodka in that it's just very pure and clean, but it doesn't taste terrible like vodka does. Also, this is quite strong. This will put some hair on your chest, as they say. Oh, man. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, it's quite nice and simple. There seems to only be about 2 flavors kind of hiding behind the main vanilla bean flavor. So maybe that's the corn flavor aspect of it. I'm not quite sure. But overall, a very nice experience. After tasting this, it seems to me that moonshine is like an alcoholic blank canvas, that you can use it as a base to put many different flavors in, and all of them will work equally well. And it's delicious, and I understand why we are the Champagne, France of Ozarks, Missouri. I really like it quite a lot, and I'll probably be trying to cook with this and figure out a way to use this jug. But anyway, if you enjoyed that, please like the video or possibly subscribe. Thank you, and see you next time.